everyone, this is Heather. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I've got a graduation card tutorial for you using some digital stamps that I have colored with Prismacolor pencils and blended with Gamsol blending solution. And today I'm using some digital stamps from a company that I found on Etsy called Isabel Christina. And this set is called Bella Students. And it's got some really cute boys and girls and school outfits and robes, graduation caps, diplomas, a banner, and books. This is just kind of a sample of all the different stamps. Some of them are duplicated that you can get in the set, and very reasonably priced. There's a bunch of stamps for only a little over $3, so I thought that was great, and lots of really cool images to choose from. And I will put a link to her shop in the description box down below, but just to give you an idea of what comes in this cute set. And so I printed off my two of the images. I used just photo editing software. I used Adobe Photoshop, but any kind of a simple photo editing program will work if you want to adjust the size of your digital stamps or add multiples together. I am by no means a pro. I don't know that I could answer a lot of questions, but I just kind of know how to do the basics. And you're just going to have to, when you're working with digital stamps, sort of play around with your printer and your settings. Some work really well with cardstock. Your ink may or may not work with the different coloring mediums that you're trying to use. Like, for instance, I find that my printer does not like 110-pound cardstock. It just doesn't want to grab it and feed it through. So I usually print on an 80-pound cardstock weight, and that still works just fine. So just kind of do some test prints and see what weight works for you, if your ink bleeds with the different coloring mediums that you use. But colored pencils are a really good one that are not usually going to cause your ink to bleed. If you do have some bleeding, you could try heat setting the ink with the heat tool beforehand and see if that'll kind of stop some of the smudging. So just kind of experiment with your printer. If anyone's curious, I'm using an Epson XP830 with just their regular recommended black ink. And so I have printed off the boy, and I added the graduation cap, so it looks like he's tossing the cap up in the air. And I have gone ahead and trimmed the white cardstock down to 3 3/4 by 5. And then I've also got a blue pattern paper, and this was from Stampin' Up's Myths and Magics collection. And it's just got a little bit of like kind of an X texture, and then just half a sheet of red 8.5 by 11 cardstock that I've cut and scored and folded in half for my card base. The boy that's graduating, his high school colors are like a navy and red with a little bit of silver, so that's why I chose the colors that I chose for my image. So I'm going to pull my cardstock over and talk a little bit about Gamsol. So Gamsol is produced and distributed by Inky Antics. They are a really great stamp company, and they sell it in these really convenient bottles that have like a foam applicator tip on the top, which makes it really convenient. So you can order directly from their website, or if you go to the art section in an art supply store or a craft store, you can look for odorless paint thinner. And I like the brand from a brand Mona Lisa, and it's put out by Speedball. This will work the same. I've also seen people use baby oil. There's a lot of different blending solutions that will work with colored pencils, but I like this Inky Antics Gamsol because it's got that really nice applicator tip on the top. So when you're working with this, I always like to keep my pencils nice and sharp, and I am using Prismacolor pencils. These are my favorite colored pencils to use. They have a pretty high wax content to them, so they layer and blend really nicely. And the colors that I'm using today are ultramarine, cool gray, dark brown, black, crimson red, light peach, and cream. And so I'm going to start out with the blue and do the hat and the graduation gown, and I'm going to be applying the pencil directly to the paper and then blending out with the Gamsol and a blending stub. And these are paper stubs that you can pick up again kind of in the art section of the craft store, and they come in different sizes and different widths. So you can see there's kind of like a really thin one, a medium sized one, and a larger one. So if you've got some small spaces, you can use the little tip in there. So let me move my colored pencils out of the way. So I like to add my color where I want sort of the darkest part to be. And you don't need to bear down too hard, but you can get different depths of color depending on how heavy you press down with your pencil. So I like to just stay inside the stamped lines, kind of follow that around, and add some shading and shadowing where I'd like it to be the darkest. So I've just added a little bit of color around the inside of those stamped lines, and I'm going to grab one of these blending stumps, and a little bit of the Gamsol will transfer to this foam tip at the top, and you just touch your blending stump to the top and you'll see that it's a little wet there, and then you're just going to go over your colored pencil and pull that color and blend out that colored pencil. So it helps to take some of the, if you have a little bit of scratchiness or lines from using your colored pencil, it smooths that out and pulls a little bit more of the color in. So when you feel like you're not getting as much blending, just go back to your bottle and pick up a little bit more of the Gamsol and just keep blending that color in. So it's a really easy way to get some shading and shadowing with only using one color. I'm only using one blue colored pencil, and yet I'm getting a lot of different tones from light to dark. So see how I've got that really nice shading there, and if you feel like you need a little bit more color, you can color right over top again of the Gamsol. You don't need to let it dry or do anything else to it. You can just add a little bit more pencil and continue adding in that shading and blending. So I'm going to color the entire graduation gown and also the graduation cap, and same thing, just going to add a little bit more of this color up on the graduation cap. So I'm going to finish up this blue and I'll be right back. So I have finished coloring my graduation cap and gown in the blue, and I want to show you how you can clean off the color or sharpen up your blending stumps. So I've just got a piece of rough sandpaper, and you just want to take the tip of your stump and rub it over that sandpaper, and it sort of sands away some of that paper stump, and you can sharpen it more to a point again and also clean off some of the color. So if you don't have a lot of different stumps for your different colors, this is a really good way that you can change colors. You're just gonna sand away all of that excess, and you've got another nice point on there, and you can switch colors if you want to. So just a good hard grit sandpaper is really good for cleaning and sharpening those stumps. So that's a good little tip for you. So next I moved on to the red, and exactly like I did before, I'm just going to add a little bit of red to the tassel and the tie, and grab one of my stumps and blend those in together. So I love that. It's such a really quick and easy way to get a lot of depth and dimension without a lot of time. And you also don't need a lot of product because we're just using just one shade. So I also want to show you how I did the hair. Again, that's just with one color of brown, but I used different pressure on the pencil to get some lighter and darker streaks in the hair. So I'm just kind of following along the lines of that digital image, adding some heavier pressure and some lighter pressure on the hair. So it looks kind of messy, but we're gonna clean that up and blend it all in with the stump. So I'm just gonna run that damp stump over and kind of blend all those together. So you get a really great texture on the hair with just one color of colored pencil. Like I said, just when you feel like it's not moving around or doing what you want, just take that stump back to the Gamsol and pick up a little bit more. And there's the hair. And I'm also going to do brown on the pants as well. So I have gone ahead with the same technique and finished off the pants in brown and the shoes in black and the little vest underneath in gray. And I also wanted to share another tool with you that I find really helpful, and this is the Prismacolor Magic Rub Eraser, and this is made specifically to erase Prismacolor pencils. So as you can see probably that I got a little line of the brown off of the edge, and I'm just going to take my eraser and erase that pencil mark off. And it doesn't completely get, especially darker colors, all the way off, but it's much lighter and you can't really see it as much, so it's a really helpful tool to have. So now I want to show you how to layer and blend two different colors. So I wanted to get a flesh tone on the hands and face, and so I'm just lightly going over with the cream Prismacolor pencil on the hands, face, and neck, avoiding the mouth area. I'm just using a light pressure. You may not even be able to see that, but it just gives it a nice base color of that cream. And then I'm using the light peach color to add in a little bit of shading around the hair and the face, under the neck. Again, this is sort of subtle. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see it on camera. And then I'm going to very lightly go over the face, because if I use that peach color by itself, it would be just a little bit too peachy and not look very natural. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but I have just lightly gone over for the shading and just over top of the cream. And then I'm going to give him some nice round cheeks with this peach color. And then I'm going to take one of the small blending stumps and blend those two colors together. So it really helps to blend those colors together into one nice color. So I hope that you can see that a little bit. And again, if I feel like I want a little bit more color on the cheeks, you can continue to build color right on top. If you want to add a little bit more shadow and shading, you can do that too, just until you are happy with the results. So there's my cute little graduate boy. Again, I just kind of wanted to keep it sort of simple and clean without a whole lot of layers and just focus on the coloring. So just to finish off my card, I'm going to lay the pattern paper on my cardstock base. And yes, there are glittery unicorns on the back of this paper. This just happened to be the paper that was the color that I needed, so I'm just going to center that on my card. And I also wanted to add a little stamped sentiment, so I just have a little congratulations stamp that I'm going to stamp in the lower left hand corner. Okay, so as you can see, I accidentally stamped my congratulations upside down. I'm sure we have all done that. I make silly mistakes like that all the time, but just for a really easy fix, I've just cut a strip of cardstock and stamped the words, and I'm just gonna put some adhesive on the back. So if you make mistakes, they happen to everyone, then you can easily fix that by just covering up. No one's ever going to notice that that was not supposed to be like that, and we're just going to trim off the excess. So just with scissors, I've trimmed off the excess there that was hanging off, and I'm going to just follow along the stamped lines there with a very sharp red colored pencil, same one that we used for the tie and the tassels. And now also, just so it doesn't look like he's standing out in space, I'm going to add just a little bit of the same gray pencil underneath. And again with the Gamsol, just blend that out a little bit. And now we're going to adhere that to the front of our card. And I will go back to my sample card that did not have the mistake on it of the congratulations being upside down, but we all make mistakes. They're easy to fix. Don't get frustrated and feel like you should just throw your whole card away. There's usually something that you can do to fix those things. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about how to use Gamsol blending solution with colored pencils for a quick and easy graduation card for a boy. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to check out my channel. I have lots of other tutorials and product reviews, and I will see you next time. This is Heather. Bye.